Hi everyone. In the last video we have discussed about strings. We have discussed string in details. Now in this video we are going to see what is the list. We will see everything about list in this video. First of all we will see basic, then we will move to the list methods. We will see how to modify a list with the methods. After that we will go to slicing, and then at last we will see what is the list comprehension. So without doing further delay, let's get into this. So guys, I am in a PyCharm and I have already created a file la.py. So let's write here lecture 8 and comment this one. Now guys, let's first of all understand what is a list in Python. So list is a basically built-in data type in Python which is used to store number of data. Like in a variable you can store one data at a time. So for storing other data you need to initialize another variable. But here you can store multiple data in one list. Let's see first of all how to create a list. So let's create a list of names, right? So I'm going to create here names, and here I put a square bracket. Inside of that square bracket you can give any number of data. So let's give first name code wrap, and second name let's write here programmer. For now purpose let's keep two data only. So now guys, you can see that I store two names. One is code wrap and other is programmer. But if I want to use without list, then I have to say that first name 1 which is code wrap and name 2 which is programmer. Instead of that you can create a single list and you can inside the number of data. So basically this is the purpose of creating a list. Let me comment this one. And guys, now let's see something. One more thing about a list, that in the list it is not mandatory you to store same type of data. Like here I have stored the string. That doesn't mean that next time also I will store a strings. I can here store also number. Let's say I store 100. It will be fine. You can store any type of data here and any number of data. So I can store here float value as well. Let's say 45.2. So it is not going to give an error because this is the basic function of our list. And one more thing guys, I want to tell you here that list is always mutable. Mutable means you can modify the list. You can change this value. You can delete this value. You can add more value in this list. So that is the main advantage of list in Python. So let's see everything, how to change the value, how to modify that value, how to add more elements in the list. So all the things we are going to cover manually as well as with the help of some function. So let's move to the list methods. So guys, let's write here modify list with methods. And now, so guys, let me write first of all this list here. Now it will be easy to see. Now what I want to add some more thing into this. And first of all, instead of name I want to write here elements, because now it is storing numbers as well. So now guys, what I want here, I want to add one more element. So for that you can use a method which is append, which is basically used to append any data at the last of the list. Let's say I want to add 50 in this list. So what I do, I will say that elements dot append. Here I will give my 50 value. So let me cut this one. So remember guys, first of all you have to give your list name which is elements. Here I have already given, and after that you have used this method append. Inside of that you have to give your data 50. So I have appended 50 data into my list. Now let's print the list, print elements. So guys, let me run this. Okay, so let me put it bottom. Now you guys can see that I got code wrap programmer 145.2.50. 50 I got at last, and it is our part of list now. Similarly, if you want to add any data at a particular position, right? If you want to add 45 after the code wrap, then you can use other method which is insert. And let's say element dot insert. I want to insert 45, but which index? I want to insert that 45 at index number 1. So now let's print this list, and let's comment this print statement. Now you guys can see that I got 45 at my second position. You can see that I gave here value 1 which is index value, and we know that index is our first index start from 0, so 45 is our first index and it is a position 2. Alright, now you come to know that how to add an element into list. If you want to add at last, then you can use append. If you want to add at any position, you can use the insert method. Now guys, one more thing I want to tell you which is very basic, that how to assess a list element. Assess list element. Guys, for assessing the elements, let's say I want to assess this element, programmer. For that, let me keep this comment and let me put this to also comment, because now my list would be this, not this one. So now I want to assess this programmer, and guys, we know that programmer is at first index. So what I say directly, print me list. Inside of list, give me first index value. What is the data of first index? So if I run this code, I'll get programmer. You guys can see that I got programmer. I hope this much is visible to you. So let me put little down. Now guys, we have seen how to assess any element from the list. If you know only index value, but you want to assess the data on that index, then you can use this inside of square bracket, you can give index value. But if you know only data and you don't know on what index it is present, so then you can use another method, which is index method. Let me write here print element, which is list name, and dot index. Inside of that, you can give you data. Let's say I want my 100. Tell me where is my 100 present, on which index value. So if I just run this code, I am getting 2. That means it's saying that 100 is present at 2 index. If I see on my list, you can see that on 0 index code wrapped, 1 index program, and 2 index I am having 100. So it's giving a correct output. So alright. Now let's see some other methods. If you want to remove any particular element from the list, then how would you do that? Let's comment this one, and let's comment this one too. For removing any data, for deleting, we have two methods. The first is remove. For remove, what basically I'm saying that, let's say you have to remove this programmer from the list. Then how would you do that? You have to just write here your list name, and after that remove function, and inside of that just give that value, programmer. What it will do, it will remove programmer from this list. And let's see, let's print that list. Let's run this code, and you guys can see that here is no programmer. Okay, now let's see the another way. If we comment this one, and the another way is using pop. Guys, pop basically take a index. So if now I want to remove programmer, first of all let me show you my list, print elements. Now if I run this code, you guys can see that I have all the elements in the list, programmer as well now, because I have commented this two line. Now if I want to remove programmer again, then I can say that elements dot pop. Inside of that I can give the index value of it. So programmer is at first index, so let me write a 1, and now let's print the list. Now you guys can see that I got output code wrap 145.2, means programmer has been removed. So now this is the basic idea to remove any data from the list. We have seen by remove and pop as well as. Now let's come in this 3 line as well. Now guys, if you want to check any element is present in the list or not, you can use the membership operator in. So you can say that print is 100 in our list. List means element. We have given list name is element. So I'm using here in membership operators. It will tell us that whether 100 is present in that list or not. So let's run this code. I got true output because 100 is present. But if I use here 200, which is not present, you can see here 200 is not in this list. So now if I run this code, you can say that false, 200 is not present. So fine. Now let's see some other function as well. If I want to delete my whole the list, then how would you do that? So I can use a clear method, which is basically used to make a list empty. So if I say that elements dot clear, if I now print my element, let's run this one, you can see that I got empty list. So guys, let's see one more method, which is extend method. So now guys, let's make another list. Name is equal to first, second. Now if I want to add these two element, means if I want to add this list into this list, how would I do that? You can use the extend method. Extend. If I say here elements dot extend, the first name would be that list in which you want to extend your data. So I want to extend in my element list all the data of name, so I will write a name. Now if I print my elements, it will have both these elements. You can see that I got my both the element at the last position, first as well as second. So now I hope this much clear to you. These are the basic method of list you can use to modify the list. You can add the element, you can remove any element, you can extend the list. So let's comment this one. So now guys, let's move to a slicing. Let's write a slicing in list and comment this one. So guys, let's copy this list. Let's write a, and I'm going to comment this one. Now guys, I want to only those elements who are after the index 1. How can you do that? Using a slicing you can easily do. You can say that my new data would be elements after square bracket. You know, if you have seen my string video, you know what is slicing, but here still I want to tell you, you have to put a colon, and before colon you have to give a start index, and after the colon you have to give an end index, and you can also put another colon which is used to step size value, which is basically default 1. So I'm here keeping 1 default, so I'm giving 1 colon only, and here I am saying that my index start position will be 1 because I want from first position and till I want all the elements, so I'll keep it is null here. It means it will go until the list over. If I print new data, if I run this code, you can see that I got my programmer 145.2, which basically means it has printed all the elements after first index. But if I want all the elements before 2 index, means code wrap as well as programmer, but not 145.2. Before 2 index 0 and 1 I want to print. You can say that just small change here, start from 0 and go till 2. 2 basically means go till access only 2 minus 1 till 1 index. Slicing never goes till end point, it takes end minus 1 point. So that basically will go till 1, and till 1 we have programmer. So now let's run this one. You can see that I got output code wrapped as well as programmer, not 145.2. So this is basically slicing. If you want to access some particular element, let's say programmer and 100 only, so you can keep the index of this programmer. The starting index is 1. Let me give this, and I want to get till 100, so I have to give index 1 greater than it. So 100 present at second index, so I have to give a second index plus 1, which means 3. So if I do this, let me comment this one, and if I run this code, I will get programmer and 100, so nothing else. This is called slicing in Python, and I hope you understood how to use slicing in the list. So guys, now let's move to the last thing, how to use a for loops in the list and how to use a list comprehension. So let's comment this one and move to that point. I'm writing here for loop in list and list comprehension. Let's understand first of all how to use a for loop in the list. So for that I'm creating a list name as data, and I'm saying here that 23, 44, 76, 89, 12. So guys, it is storing a 5 numerical data, and how would you come to know that how many elements are present in the list? You can use a length method. Let me show you. Print length of data. So now what it's going to return is, it will return the length of this data, and data is our list. So if I run this code, you can see that I got 5. It's telling us that you have 5 elements in your list. Now let's comment this one. Now use a for loop. So what I say that I can use a for our element in data. Element is a variable. You can give here I, you can give here j. So I'm giving here I because it is easy to use. So for I in data, print me I. What it will do, it will, this all data, let me write here, this I will be iterate over all the data, and it will print one by one all of them. First of all, I will be at 23 and it will print 23. Second time it will be at 44, it will print 44, and keep going. So let's run this one. You can see that I got my output, and let me make it size bigger. You can see that 23, 44, 76, 89 and 12. I got my output. I hope you understood that how to use a for loop in a list. You can also use the indexes here. Let me show you how. For I in range function, basically you have to give an indexes. You know that we have covered range function in our for loop. So if you don't know how to use a range function, you can watch my that video. Range function basically written as a range. I want my range from 0 because index always start from 0 until the 5. How would I come to know that this data has a 5 length? So it will tell us by the length function. So I'm going to say that 0 comma length of data. So it will return as a range 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It will not return as a length 5 because we know that it range function also goes till and -1, and is 5 because length is 5. So 5 minus 1 means 4. So now if I run this code, so now if I write here print data, which is our list, and inside of that how to access the element, we know already that using index value how to access the element. So I'm going to write here my index I, which first time it would be at 0, so it will print as 0 index value. Second time it would be at 1, so it will print as 1 index value, and so on. So let's comment this one and see how does it work. And you guys can see that I got same output 23, 44, 76, 89, 12. I hope you understood how to use for loop in the list, and if you have still end out, you can write in comment section. So guys, now let's see how to use a list comprehension, and where should we use list comprehension instead of for loop. So I'm going to create a new data which is store a number. Let's say num is a new list, and let's comment this data. Here I want to store 20 elements 0 to 20. So instead of that I can say that range 0 to 21, and 0 is also optional because if we don't take any element, so it will by default take 0. So let's keep it this. So now what it will going to do, it will return a 0 to 20 element, but that will be sufficient. So let's convert that in list. So I'm going to use a typecasting here. I will write a list. So now what it will do, it will create a list of 0 to 20. Let's print that first of all, and you guys can see that I got my output 0 to 20. Now I have created this list. Now let's use list comprehension as well as for loop here. I want here get all even elements from num list. Fine. Now I want all the even element from this list. How would I can do that? First let's see by for loop. First by for loop. So what I'll do, I'll write here for I in num, and here I will say if I more 2 is equal to 0. Basically if I is an even number, then print that I. Instead of print, I will append in my list. I will create a new list here. I will name it as even list, and I will make it empty, and here I will say that even list dot append my I value if it is even. Alright, so what it will do, it will append that I value in the even list, and you have already seen that append function we have seen here above. Append function where we were appending our data at the last of the list. Now let's print that even list, and let me comment this print statement. Now if I run this code, you can see that I got my even numbers, all the even numbers 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 is fine. The one way is using a for loops, which I have shown you. Now the other way you can see here, let me comment this one, using a list hack, using list comprehension. Now guys, I can say here that even list is equal to, let me comment this even list also. So guys, here I can say that even list inside of that square bracket. Now here I am going to use a for loop. I am writing here I for I in num. This statement is exact same. Fine. So I have writing same exact statement here. And after saying that, if I mod 2 is equal to 0, then you have to take this I value. For I in I by 1, if I mod 2 is equal to 0, then take this I value, otherwise don't take it. So if I run this code, let me print first of all even list. Now if I run this code, you can see that I got same output. One way is this. Let me show you both the way, and let me change this list, even list by comprehension. Okay, so let's run this code. Now you can see that I got same output in both the cases. So would you like to prefer this list comprehension? It uses just one line of code. So I would prefer it. So that's all in this video. In this video I have shown you everything about the list. I show you how list methods. I show you how to modify a list because it is mutable. And after that I have shown you how to use slicing in the list. I have told you the loop, how to use the loop in the list and list comprehensions. If you guys like this video, definitely give a thumbs up to this video and subscribe my channel. Meet you in the next video. Thank you.